Hello and welcome to Bespoke Unit. Wait a minute, Charles. Can they even see us?
Don't think so.
Okay. Anyway, in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to build your own Coolidor. Hello, my name's Paul Anthony.
And I'm CP.
And after that relatively cheesy intro, where we were hiding behind those Coolidor options, we're going to go into how to actually make a Coolidor and why you may want to make a Coolidor. So this is basically a Tupperdoor on roids.
And if you may or may not have already seen, we already cover how to build a Tupperdoor, which you can see in the links below.
Which is basically a smaller version of this. So anyway, what we're going to do is basically run through some of the pros and cons of creating a Coolidor and the elements you're going to need to actually do that. So when we're talking about creating a Coolidor, it's basically creating a humidor that's made out of a cooler, thus Coolidor. So a humidor is any kind of container or environment where you're trying to stabilize relative humidity and or temperature. I suppose the main downside with a Coolidor is you're not really having a temperature controlled element, which is where we're going to talk a little bit about the type of container you may choose. But first off, you really got to choose that container.
Exactly. The first and foremost consideration to keep in mind is that the container needs to be airtight. So although there are some coolers that are airtight, there are some larger ones that you've had experiences where they are.
Yeah, so the big one in the introduction that you saw is a Coleman Extreme 120 quart cooler that I actually bought two of. However, they do not have an airtight seal. I reached out to their support and they said that they do not and will not make an airtight seal due to the fact for safety in case a small child stroke person falls in and gets trapped. Unfortunately, that would be unfortunate for the person who gets trapped, but it's unfortunate if we're trying to keep our cigar babies in there at a relative humidity that is stable. So if you get one of those particular coolers, you're going to need to retrofit with your own gasket, which we're not really going to go into. Probably just put some foam around. There are some other coolers, as Charles-Philippe mentioned, why you want to go the cooler route. Basically, when you get a cooler like that, the benefit of that is having insulated wall, which is when temperature may spike. I personally use the Remington containers, which don't have an insulated wall. However, I have the luxury of having a basement which keeps a very stable temperature. And even in the summer when it's over 100 degrees here in Philadelphia at times, the basement never gets above 65 degrees. So for me, that's a perfect solution. If you have massive temperature spikes, you're probably going to want to go into like a cigar fridge or a cabinet, where we actually have a specific video about storing large collections of cigars. But this video talks specifically about creating a Coolidor. So, okay, now you've kind of, we'll actually put links below and some resources of the best kind of large containers, which for me is the Remington 7 quart? 82
litres, 87 quarts.
87 quart. And also some of the larger coolers. I know a lot of guys pick them up from Walmart relatively inexpensively here in the USA. But once you kind of have your container down that suits you, again, don't need a walled insulator if you're not really going to get peaks and troughs. But anyway, moving on from that, so what do we need inside? So
once you've found your storage solution, then you're going to have to create that climate inside, and for that you're going to need some sort of humidifier.
So for that, at Bespoke Unit, we really favour the Boveda 320 gram packs here, which they recommend one of these per cubic foot of storage space. So in the large Remington container, which is definitely our favoured method, I usually pop about 6 of these in, which is a bit of overkill, but you can't overdo these packs. And I've had certain ones in it that have lasted well over a year. The nice thing about that Remington container is it has a foam gasket around the entire lip of the lid, so you're pretty much getting no air or moisture exchange. So these things will last a long time, especially if you've pre-acclimated your cigars before they go into those. So,
and there's a resource about that in the description below.
So the long and short of acclimation, just to abridge it, is you don't want to put in, like for example, a box into an environment that may have been shipped to you online or bought in store that is significantly below what you want to store your cigars at. So in this particular container, we've got 65% Boveda RH packs. If I bought this and it was at 50% RH, then that's going to shock the system and draw a lot of resources from that Boveda pack. So we're going to want to acclimate that before we put it into that storage unit.
The great advantage also of using these Boveda packs is that you have a two-way humidity control, which means that if there is excess moisture, it will absorb it rather than continually releasing it. And another great thing is because these are nice closed packets, you're not going to have any issues where they might topple over or start leaking all over your collection.
Sure. And then once we've got kind of a humidification solution, then the next thing we were going to want to do is put in a calibrated hygrometer. We definitely recommend a smart sensor, so you don't have to constantly keep opening and closing your cooler door. So there's 3 primary options that we recommend here. One is the Cigar, which is around $200. This is probably the big daddy of them. Great performance. We also like the sensor push here, which is around $50. And both of these first 2 options, this with a Wi-Fi gateway will plug straight into Wi-Fi. This only has Wi-Fi. And then the Boveda Butler, which is $20, so it's the cheapest of the bunch, but still has great performance.
Really
only
does.
Bluetooth enabled, but you can kind of have a redundant device, which is effectively the same thing as the Wi-Fi gateway for this. So unless you're going Cigar for the lightsaber, or you want to go kind of in Bluetooth range, or you can set up a redundant device. All of these are good. There are links below to where we review these specifically, but the main point is here is that they're all calibratable and they're all going to tie into your phone, so you don't have to open your cooler door to kind of check on the conditions inside, both temperature and relative humidity, which is important.
Another advantage of that is that you have several cooler doors as well to contain your whole collection. So rather than having to individually open each one to check on that level of humidity, you just open the app and you have all of them right in front of you.
So currently I have 6 of those Remington containers. So I actually keep them at different environments. So I have a 62 environment for long-term Cuban storage, and I have 65% RH environments for long-term New World cigar storage. I travel a lot, I'm away from home, I just kind of want to put them down there, set it and forget it, and come back to those cigars. So whether you're storing boxes or trays, you can do that. Obviously if you're going to use trays, you're going to want to pre-season them. There's links below on where I bought these from Amazon. The Remington will actually hold 21 of these trays,
which is fantastic.
So I think I have 14 in one, and then I have some boxes along the other side. Then all of my other containers pretty much contain either Boveda humidor bags that I can put loose cigars in, or they're just filled with boxes.
Absolutely.
So, which is good.
I mean, that's one of the advantages of having a cooler door rather than a tougher door, is just the sheer volume of storage that you can have in there. And the advantage also of choosing to have cedar trays, of course this is completely optional, is it's going to be somewhat easier to organise rather than just piling them in there. It's also going to offer them some protection, but then you'll actually get some of the benefits of Spanish cedar, which aren't to be really overlooked. First of all, Spanish cedar is a natural insect repellent, so if you're in an area which is susceptible to tobacco beetles or worms, this will help keep them at bay. It also offers this sort of membrane natural property where it will absorb the humidity when it's been seasoned, and then if you have any sudden changes, it may release a little bit and slow down that change for you. And finally, you do get to enjoy the scent of cedar, if that's the sort of thing you like, which may impart an enjoyable flavour to your cigars.
Okay, thanks for that little cedar plug there, Charles-Philippe.
I'm a big cedar guy, so I really had to throw that in there.
He's a big proponent of using cedar desktop humidors for those benefits. I know that Rob Garnier and I from Boveda have actually gone over the pros and cons of wooden humidors. Again, links below. So not to drag this video out too long, the massive pros of cooler doors are twofold. It's really one, mass storage, and two, that they're cheap.
Yeah,
you know, they're ultimately cheap. And again, the Remington's probably the cheapest option. That's around $40 per one of those containers.
I think you can buy a bulk order of 3 as well if you're really that inclined.
Yep, so I would have done 2 of those. So that's good. The major downside is they obviously do not have any external temperature control mechanism. So again, I'm lucky with a basement here. Many of you in the USA will have that. I know in the UK basements and in France as well, you said are pretty rare. So even with an insulated wall on a cooler, which is going to be more expensive, I know the 120 quart Coleman was well over $100. And I know the smaller cooler that we had on the table here, the one with wheels, which makes it more portable around the house or the basement, is good. If you are going to be getting temperature spikes, whether the AC is kicking on and off, I mean, the main thing is really the heat is the main problem. If they get too cold, that's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah, but if you're going to be getting spikes, say in the day you go to work and you let the house get a little bit warm in the 80-degree range, yes, it's going to stop the extreme spike up and down, but there's still going to be a temperature spike there. So if that's going to be a problem for you, I would probably look at getting a cigar fridge, or if you've got larger storage needs, then looking at getting into some cabinet humidors, at which point you're going to be getting into the several $1,000s. However, if you're storing several thousand cigars, then you probably know what you're getting into.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the investment should be proportional. The investment into storage should be proportional, really, to your collection.
Correct.
It's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. So we hope that guide there has helped you. I mean, if you want a more succinct video where you can actually see us how we kind of step-by-step build a Coolidor, you can actually look directly at our Tupperdoor video, because it's just a scaled down version.
Logic, yeah.
The exact same logic. Airtight seal container that has a humidification device, a calibrated hygrometer, and then if you wanted to add the optional cedar, you can do that as well. So we hope you've found that video helpful. Below we're going to be including links to coolers and large storage Tupperware like the Remington that we had on the table earlier. Please comment below with your favorite storage device, how and when you've actually maybe retrofitted your own gaskets onto coolers, or if you do know of a cooler that is watertight. I know like the Yeti ones have a rubber gasket around it, but then you're looking at $500 for
get a cabinet
from a cooler. So at that point you might as well get a couple of fridges, and then that kind of serves its purpose as well. So again, we're looking at cost benefit options here, but always welcome your comments and questions below. We actually have associated pages that kind of follow this exact same theme here on bespokeunit.com/cigars that I know Charles-Philippe and I update regularly. So any comments or questions or suggestions you put below probably won't be reflected in this video because we can't go back and edit it. However, they will be reflected on bespokeunit.com, where we cover not only humidification options but cigar and brand reviews as well. Anything else to add there, Charles?
That's all from me.
Okay, perfect. So please like this video if you found it helpful. Also check out our other cigar resources here on YouTube, and as I mentioned, on bespokeunit.com. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on those notifications, because we not only cover cigars, but we cover a wide array of other men's lifestyle topics. So we cover whiskey, rum, champagne, which can all pair perfectly well with cigars, and we actually have a lot of those pairings mentioned on the site. But we also touch on men's sartorial topics such as suits, shoes, and one of my personal favorite topics, watches as well. With all that being said, my name's Paul Anthony.
I'm CP.
And we'll see you next time.
Take care.